Hi, welcome back to Recycling Mama Crafts. Today we're going to be working on making some Christmas wreaths. I recently decided that I wanted to upgrade my Christmas wreath. I also have another wreath that I'm just going to be adding to that I leave on my door all year round and just kind of change it out. And that'll be in another video. But for this one, we're just going to do Christmas. Now, I've already started it because this thing takes forever and I had to kind of figure out how to do it because I had never done it before. So this one we already started. I put the ball in the center because I like to add a little bit of a center touch to it. And then I made up these. Now I got everything from either the dollar store or the Family Dollar for these wreaths, or the Dollar Tree and the Family Dollar. Um, I love dollar stores. Everything's pretty reasonably priced, and you can make beautiful things that don't cost a whole lot of money. This wreath here cost me $11 to make. And I actually got two bases out of it because I've watched all these videos on this before I started, and every video that I seen said that they only use two rungs on one of these wreath bases, and they come with four. So I was like, well, you're just kind of wasting the two rungs if you're not using them. Now there's some people who stagger them a bit, and I was like, well, if I don't want to stagger it and I want to save a little bit of money, I could get two wreaths out of one base. So it'll end up costing me 50 cents each for the wreath base instead of $1. So that's what I did. I took a pair of wire cutters and I cut off the center. This is the smaller one. The larger one I am using for my wreath. This is going to be a gift for Bonnie. She's a really good friend of the family. I love her. And I wanted to make something special for her. Now, because it does have these little pokies on it, and the inner rings kind of edged outward, I'm going to flip it around and use the other side as the back. So this will be the front. It just kind of flipped it around after I cut it out, so that way it doesn't scratch her door up when it is all finished. Now, there's several different ways that you can do these. Personally, I prefer the the twisted ones rather than the ones that are all bunched up. I mean, they're pretty and all, but I think these ones are much prettier when they're twisted like this. And what you're going to need, I got this one from the Family Dollar. And no, none of these are sponsored. They're just one of the dollar stores that are near me. This is a 10-inch. It costs $2 for this particular roll. For the big wreath, I ended up using a roll. One whole row is on there now, so I'm figuring maybe a half a row will finish it off because there's like a quarter of it left. So all you do is you take your wreath material and you lay it out, and they're 10 inches long, and we want to cut them into about 6-inch strips. I use my scissors to help hold it down. I'm using a cutting mat. You can use a scissors, but I find that this gives you a straighter cut with this material because this material is a pain in the butt to work with when it comes to cutting and getting straight lines. So this is also pretty quick. You can just, I have a 24-inch mat, so I know that I can cut on 18, 12, and 6 and 1 and get 6-inch strips. Pretty simple when it's already broken up into the mat sizes. Now, I didn't just use this material. I also have a few other materials that I found that I added together to give it a little bit more interest. Now, with these, once you have them cut like this, you're going to take them, and instead of just spiraling them into little things, which you can do, and it does turn out quite cute like that, I take opposite corners and pull it tight, and it twists itself for you. As you can see, it'll twist itself up, and you get this pointed end here. You still get the loop, but you get the pointed end, and then you can just, I seen this, another YouTuber did this and just tucked it in her fingers to keep it out of the way. And again, I'm gonna do that again. And sometimes if you pull a little bit too hard and you're a little bit too strong, it will pull a few of those things out. And yes, this stuff is messy, and yes, you're going to have to trim it up. And I've noticed as well, each corner pulls a little bit different. So if it feels like maybe one side's not pulling enough and it's not getting as long as your last one, just switch the corners around because they do have a different They do pull a little bit differently, each one does. You get one that goes a little bit longer than the other and makes a prettier spiral. So I am doing groups of 3. I just made a 4th one up, but you doing groups of 3 like was suggested in other videos, and I happen to like the way the groups of 3 look. Now you can use wire. I do have wire here, but I've tried the wire and I've tried the pipe cleaners, and I find the pipe cleaners do a much better job at holding it still on the base. If you already have wire and you want to make sure that it holds still, you can take a little bit of hot glue and just dab it on the wire once you have it attached to the base. Then you don't have to worry about it moving around too much on you. Oh, there's my wire cutters. Okay, so for this, I use wire cutters instead of my scissors because there are little wires in here, and they're coated in fuzzy stuff, and you don't want to ruin your scissors. You will ruin your scissors if you use your scissors on wires. And any sewers out there know all too well the plight of somebody taking your good scissors and cutting stuff they're not supposed to, like paper. I swear every year around Christmas time when I start doing my projects, I end up having to buy at least 2 new pairs of scissors because everybody's using my good sewing scissors for paper. And that is a no-no. You just take it and you twist it, and you want to twist it kind of tight so that holds in place. And then you have a little bundle like this. Once you get, you can make a bunch up ahead of time if you want to. You don't have to. You can work it one at a time, but I find it's quicker if you make up a bunch ahead of time. You get a bunch made up ahead of time, and then you can attach them to your base. Now, I already did a couple of the other colors where I mixed it, and I'll show you how to do that one as well. Now with the gold color, because this one is a red and gold. With the gold color, I decided to add a little bit more of a red pop to it, and I found this really pretty tool. I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but there's a little bit of red sparkle in there, and I'm doing it, I got this at the Dollar Tree, and I'm doing it in layers of 3 because the tool is pretty thin, but once you layer it up, you get a nice, really pretty red color, and yeah, now you can see the sparkle a little bit from, move the basket out of the way. The basket's taking a little bit of the light. See, now you can see that sparkle. So I take this and I layer this with a gold stripe, and this has sparkle as well. Got this from the Family Dollar as well. It was alongside the burlappy material that I got, and it was $1 as well. For the big wreath, I'm using 3 of these all together, 2 with the first batch and then 1 with the second batch that I had to do. So I'm just placing that in the center and kind of centering it a bit. Now these here I cut 10 inches long because these aren't going to be rolled up. These, I wanted these to be about the same length as the width of these. So I cut them at 10 inches. So once you get it centered, you lay it out on the mat and just kind of gather it together. And then to keep it in place while I'm fussing with other stuff and getting the other parts ready to use, I'm actually, where in the world did I put it? It's run away on me. I had a little bit of tulle, and this stuff sticks together so awful. Like if I move something around the table just a little bit, it sticks to everything. It is the worst. Worst if you're trying to work with stuff. Oh, it's a pain in the butt. But it turns out so pretty when you're done, so it's worth it. So you just take a little bit of your tool, a little tiny scrap. I had some scraps left over. This one's actually a little big, so I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm just going to use this to tie this in together to keep that crunch together in the center where I want it. And then I can set it aside until I'm ready to add it to my yellow base. And with the yellow, we're going to do the same thing we did, and just one little tie because it's going to be secured with something else. We're going to do the same thing that we did with the red, except we're going to then add the pretty bow that we just made. So we're going to stretch it out. See, that way it went a little bit longer. Curl it together, hold on to it, stretch it out, curl it together, hold on to it, stretch it out. That way it didn't go the way I wanted it. There we go. Stretch it out. Make sure it's curled together. Hold on to it. Then just to make sure if I don't think it looks pretty straight, I just bend it in half and find the center. Then I add the bow to it. And again, you take your pipe cleaner and you want to make sure that the pipe cleaner is in the back. So the twist is in the back. On the other one, it doesn't matter as much because it doesn't have really a front to it. So you're going to put it in the back. You're going to hold it tight. Ooh, try to make it centered. And then just twist it up as tight as you can. And once you get it twisted up real tight, you just set it aside. And then when it's actually in the wreath, it'll fold up like this. And you'll get a really nice punch of red in the middle of the gold. And it looks really, really pretty. So I'm going to make up a couple more of these reds because I have a bunch of these ones already made up. So I'm going to make up a couple more of these reds so we can finish off this wreath over here. And then I'm going to show you, once I get these made up, I'm going to show you how to prepare your base. Because I did add lights to it. I wish I could show you, but I cannot find my tiny, tiny screwdriver to add the batteries to the light pack. But you can get those at the Dollar Tree as well. And I just used a little pipe cleaner to secure it onto the back of the wreath. And on this wreath, it's hanging down a little bit because I haven't got to put the batteries in it. And I will leave it hanging down until I get the batteries in it. A few of those prepped. And one of the biggest time-consuming things I find with these is just getting these all prepped. So if you can do that all ahead of time instead of trying to do it one at a time, it does save you a lot of time. It's less of a headache than trying to. It goes a lot faster if you're doing it in stages. Sound a little froggy. Now I tried to tie these at different angles because once we add it to the base, it's going to be popped up sideways. So just to give it a little variation, instead of having them all lined up where it's going to be all the three like this, all the three bent like this, sometimes I line it up so it'll be bent like this, so you get you'll be able to spread it out a little bit more evenly throughout and fill in holes where you want to. It just gives you a little bit more options when it comes time to spread it and fill it in. Get a couple more of these done. Like I said, this is the most time-consuming part. I actually meant to do this video a couple days ago. I posted it on Facebook. I was going to try, and this took so long. By the time I got done, my kids were with this part. My kids were home, and I didn't have a chance to do the stream because they were home and they had homework and friends over and everything, and it was nearly impossible to get it done unless I had. And normally I would let my kids join in on the videos, but they had homework to do and they needed help. So I got that about even. And all these little things that stick up like this, yeah, these can be quite messy. I do try to clean them up a little bit, but I'm not going to lie, they're not going to be perfect, and they're not going to have the perfect angles if you use just a regular ribbon to make these. Creating stuff is very messy. Get that twisted off. There, 3, do one more, and then we'll start filling in our wreaths. I think that's all we need, but we'll see. Again, just pull on the corners, and you're going to get that nice tight roll. And if it starts to unroll, you can just pull on the corners again. Sometimes that does happen. Pinch the middle, get it out of your way for the next one. Now, you can choose whatever colors you want. You don't even have to make this into a Christmas wreath. You can choose regular, just some generic colors that you can then fancy up later to go with the holidays, like I did with my my door wreath that I have on now. I just used burlap and chose white, black, and red. Excuse me while I get a drink. I'm sounding like a frog over here. I chose white, black, and red for that. So those colors can pretty much go with any holiday. You just have to add in a little bit of extras to make it more holiday themed. And this wreath I want specifically for Christmas because it's nice to have really, really festive things too. And I'm gonna have a wreath on each one of my doors, so I get 2 of them. So now we've got this done, and the last one I did was one of my pretty ones. So I'm going to take that and move it over to the side. We're going to then take the next color, and I alternated throughout these. So it is alternated between yellow, the gold, and the red. So we're going to take it and we're going to lay it this way. So we're going to pinch it up to get it out of the way. We're going to take the wreath. We can get this out of the way enough. But we're going to then take the bottom of the wreath, the pipe cleaners, and we're going to wrap it around. And you want as tight as you can to wrap these around and just twist it. And once you get that all twisted and really tight, you're going to tuck the ends inward because you don't want it to scratch your door. And like I said, these things stick to each other like there's no tomorrow. And once you get that in, you can just move it over to where you want it. And you don't want it too bunched up together because if you get them too bunched up together, then you're not going to get, they're going to start moving ways you don't want them to. So I was doing about 6 or 7 per line, and they turned out really nice. That when I did about 6 or 7 per line. That's how you do that. Oh, and this stuff, it sticks everywhere. It's pretty simple to do that, and we'll go back and we'll work on that a little bit more. It's a little hard to see anything with it being so fluffed up, and I'll show you a couple on here. On this one that I go all crazy with those. You want to get your lights in first if you can, because it's going to be really hard to attach lights once you have all that fluff in the way, and that stuff does kind of scratch you a little bit. So once you get your light strands, you're going to untie them because they always tie them in a knot for some reason. I guess it's to hold them in place, but it's a pain in my butt. Okay. All right. And if you have your little screwdriver, you want to put your batteries in now because you don't want to have to fuss with the batteries later. It does have a little on-off switch, so it doesn't have to stay on all the time, which is a really nice option. These are LED ones, so the batteries will last a really long time, and if you're turning it on and off during the day and nighttime, then you can, if you get a good enough quality battery, then it'll last the whole season. So then you're going to take your pipe cleaners that you've already cut in half to tie on these little suckers here, so the Christmas lights here. So we're going to cut these in half again. We just need them little small. So little teeny tiny ones here. You're going to find where you're going to start your base in, because this is going to be the front and this is going to be the back. We're going to put our battery pack back here, and you want to make sure that when you're securing this on here that the screw is facing outwards. That way, if for some reason your batteries do go dead and you need to replace them, you can. If you have it secured the other way, it'll be a lot more difficult because you'll have a lot more stuff in your way. This way, you only have to take off whatever's holding this part in, and you don't have to mess with it too much. So I'm going to start off with passing it around. Actually, let me get it through here. Passing it around here in a loop to loop it to kind of loop it around this one so it stays in place and it doesn't move too much. That'll help keep the light box secure. And then I'm going to take one of my strands and I'm going to twist tie it in place. And you just use it like a red tie. Wrap around the top a little bit. And because I'm not using hot glue or anything, these can be removed. You know, if your strand goes dead, you need to replace it the next year, you can. Once I get done with this, I don't want to have a lot of movement with these. So I kind of decide how much wraparound I'm going to have. And these are shorter strands, but they're also the smaller wreaths. The other wreath that I had was the outside. It was the bigger portion, and the bigger portion, the strand just reached around the outside of it. So it was nice. One of these, if you get one of these LED lights from the Dollar Tree, they will fit perfectly around one of the Dollar Tree's Christmas wire wreaths. So that works out nicely. This is going to have a little bit more play in it, but that's okay because I want the lights to wrap around. So what I'm going to do to help kind of keep it a little bit wrapped around is we're going to do in every other situation, in every other direction for the lights. That way not all the lights are up and not all the lights are down. It'll be every other one. I'm going to secure it a little bit more often than just at the lights because it's going to need a little bit more security, and I don't want it falling as much. And I'm not securing this to both sides. I'm just going to secure it to the one side I want the light strand at. So this one I want the light strand. I'm going to start in the up position. Need a few more of these cut. Just cut in half. So then I'm going to secure the light itself, and the light itself I'm going to wrap from both sides. Wrap on both sides and then twist it. Now you can, and then make sure you tuck that pointy part in there so it doesn't scratch your door. Now you can use the regular Christmas light sets if you'd like. I find that they do not last as long. The batteries don't last as long with the regular old-fashioned Christmas lights sets as the LED does. The LED ones last a long time, but they're not as big as the old-fashioned strands. There we go. All right. And it'll help kind of keep it facing that direction. And these Christmas lights are going to look really nice with the sparkles and the Christmas wreaths. It'll help bounce off the sparkles and really make that shine, especially at nighttime. Have a little punch of light and sparkle on your front door is really nice. And even if you don't have the time or the money to decorate the rest of your house, you know, you have that little punch of Christmas on your front door, and it's really nice and inviting. And it'll make your house look decorated for the holidays, even if it's nothing but a wreath. I find sometimes the nicest decorations are the simplest ones. You can go all out and go big and do the really fun, gaudy Christmas with tons and tons of lights, which I think are fun and the kids love it. Or you can do something simple with just a few flowers and a nice wreath on your door, and it looks like, you know, a really nice, pretty classic Christmas. You don't have to overdo it if you don't want. And I'll get the big old candy canes out and everything. My whole house will be decorated up. In some years, I feel like doing, you know, doing a more traditional, laid back Christmas, and we'll just put out a few really classic pieces that, you know, hold up. Some of them might even be a bit antique, just to really make really give that Christmas feel, warm Christmas feel in the house without going all crazy with the decorations and the lights. Either way is fun. I mean, I have children and they like both ways. Of course, they love it when mom gets out all of the the crazy, silly Christmas decorations and we go all out. And we haven't really had the ability to do that for the past couple years, because when we moved to a different state. My husband, my loving, loving husband, I asked him 3 times to double check to make sure he got my Christmas decorations. And I had the full Christmas village and everything. And I didn't think anything of it. And I even helped move everything myself. And I unpacked it into the storage. And it was just a crazy time. And I did not notice until I went to go check the storage for my Christmas decorations. And I realized a month before Christmas that not only did I have to finish all of the Christmas for myself and the Christmas charity things that I was doing, but I also had to completely redo my entire Christmas. I had no Christmas tree, I had no Christmas ornaments, and we lost all of our antique ornaments, all of the ornaments that we had handed down from my husband's parents who had passed away, and my little Christmas village was all gone. So we had to start over again. And luckily, I have a wonderful aunt. My Aunt Maureen handed me down some Christmas ornaments of hers. And so while it might not be replaced, I might not be able to replace those ornaments that we lost to my husband's family. My family was able to step up, and we still have family heirlooms that we can hand down to our children. They may not be as old as the other ones, but we can still hand them down. All right, and I'm almost done. See, it does take a minute to get these done. And this one is going to have a little bit more of an overlap. And because we just used the pipe cleaners, if you didn't want to have so much of an overlap and you just want to kind of make it evenly around, you can then take it and bunch them together a bit to kind of get that more even look. And that way they'll be evenly spaced. I don't particularly care about that. I just want to get these on here, actually. If there's a little bit more shine in one area, that's fine. That's where we'll put the center decoration. And that's what we're going to do next. Is I like to decorate the center of my wreaths with something. I don't like to leave them plain. So we'll be putting that on next. And then I know it looks like a hot mess right now with all these funky colored twist ties, but trust me, when I get done, you ain't going to be able to tell them. It's not going to be on there. I'm just going to add this one to the bottom right here, the end one. And I know there's probably some people out there screaming, test them first, test them first. Get them on here and get everything put together, and then come to find out these suckers don't work. I'll be upset. I'll learn my lesson. Don't do what I do. Test them first. There we go. So we got that. We got that all set up. Now, for this wreath, I went a little bit different. The other one, I have a Christmas bulb. And on this one, I went with a pretty white snowflake because I couldn't get a hold of any more of the red and gold. I had to go with white. And I'll have a little bit of the red and the white left over from mine to finish up this wreath with. So this one's going to have a little bit of red and white. It's going to be more like a candy cane. And these, I love these big Christmas snowflakes. And they're pretty and they're squiggly. It also helps hide stuff. So if your battery pack was hanging down a little bit, you could actually hide it right behind the star to make it more accessible if you wanted to. But first things first, we've got to hang this sucker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top string that's on the top of this, and I'm actually just going to tie it to the top rung here. It's fine. Hey, they can all hear you over there scratching. Yes. Sorry. My doggy is almost as bad as the children. Always, always around me. Yeah. I know. I know. I made you move. And I just can't get this sucker tied. Improvise. Can't get it tied. My fingers aren't working the way I want them to. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of this and tie it with this. Ta-da! use the hole they have here, and I'm just going to twist tie it. And I'm going to try to keep the center of it up here. Messed that up somehow. I don't know how, but I did. All right. That one was too short, so I need a longer one. Get this sucker twist tied on here. Now, if you want to make sure that the snowflake doesn't move around too much, you can use something to secure the bottom of it to the wreath thing too. But once we add all that other stuff to the sides, it's going to be fine. See, you get the nice snowflake. I keep calling it a star. The nice, pretty snowflake in the middle. And then with all the foofy around the outside, it's going to look really, really pretty. Now, I also bought some of these Christmas bulbs. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the bulbs or these pretty clip-on poinsettias. Now, these are really nice for the wreaths that you want to be able to change out without having to secure it. They come with a little clasp at the back, so you don't have to use a bunch of wire to twist it on there. It'll be a lot easier just to clip it on there, and then when you want to change out your decoration. Okay, so we've got this done. And then once you have this step done, you're going to start putting on more of these decorations here. And that's what we're going to keep doing. So, and everything has already stuck to this thing. This is a pain in the butt. Make sure you have lots and lots and lots of table room when you're doing this. So you can move everything far out of the way. See, there's the little things I was looking for earlier. It's stuck to this sucker. So we got this back out again. I just added a red one. Time to add another red one. Other side. After I get some of the most beautiful things to use to craft are the most difficult. Okay, I got that one on there. And I do find, I have found that these things do move around a lot. Like when I'm adding them on here, they're flipping. I don't know if anybody else has had a problem, and maybe because I have them too crunched together. I don't know. This is the first one I've ever made, so I'll let you know. The next one, I'll try to make it less bunched up together, because I started off with counting, and then I was like, I'm just going to stick them on here until I think it looks pretty, and some of them are more bunched up than others, and I'm like, maybe I should have stuck with the counting like the other ladies did, but I'm a glutton for punishment. That twisted on there. And also, these are adjustable because they're just, like I said, they're just twist tied on there with these pipe cleaners. You can move them around a bit. You don't want them to be able to move around too much, but you can move them around a bit. And the whole point is to fill the sucker up so that even though you can adjust it a little bit at first, when you get done, they should all pretty much just stay in place. I find that you can double the life of your pipe cleaners too if you are doubling them up as well. I have more made in this basket here. If you, I mean, not doubling them up, but if you cut them in half, they will definitely last you longer, because you don't need the full length of the pipe cleaner to do this. You will have some to cut, a bunch left to cut off if you use the full length of the pipe cleaner. Let's get this twist tied in here. And I'm sorry you can't really see this. Anytime I'm not using my laptop for a video, it's my phone, because we're so unprofessional. We're just making these for fun. We're not. This just needs to move down somehow. Fill in a little bit. Now that, good grief. There we go. Okay. Now what you're going to want to do is remove everything that's stuck to the sucker while you're trying to work on it. Get that all to the side. And you're going to want to kind of move it around. You don't want any of the wire on the inside exposed, so you're going to want to move around your pieces, fill in any gaps that you may have. Frustrating. But so I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it behind. Take that and try not to get it tangled too much, and kind of wrap it around the base a little bit. If you can get your fingers in there. And this is where having that second layer might help, but I think it'll be fine. And you want to, again, make sure that when you're done twisting it, that that piece of wire that's poking out is facing forward, so it does not interfere with, you don't want it to scratch your door. Now you can, because there's wires in there, you can bend it up and face it whatever direction you want it to go in. Just pull this apart. If you have a little bit of arm strength, you can just pull it apart and it gives you a little extra wire without cutting it. There we go. All right. Because I have 2 strands of each, I'm going to try to do a double strand. Here, each one. Now, because I'm not selling this, I'm not going to worry about wrapping the back and making the back look all pretty, because it's going to be on my door. Nobody's going to see the back of the sucker. I don't know if people who craft these and sell them worry about the back. I'm worried about making that look real nice. But because I've never bought a wreath, I've always just made my own. Whenever I wanted one, I've just always made it. So, and I got that side done with a little bit of I'm going to finish up this side. And every single wreath tutorial that I looked at, I've always seen them showing how they did the burlap and everything wrapped around. But I've seen the finished pictures, and the finished pictures are never what they have finished. They've always just stopped at the end. They never added the extra stuff. They just say you can add the extra stuff. Well, I want to show you the whole process. And again, it's just twisting that wire around the back. It's a little hard to see, but once you twist that wire around the back, it'll hold in place pretty well. And you're literally just, you take the wire and you stab it through where you want it, where you're wanting it to about set. And then you twist it around there. Twist it around the base. As close to it as you can get. And making sure that, again, you tuck those wires facing inwards. And you don't want them like sticking out real far either. You want, there's going to be a little wire left over after you get done wrapping. And you want that to face inside so it doesn't scratch your door. But you don't want it so much wire left over that you're stabbing yourself with it every time you grab your wreath. These wreaths are itchy enough with all the stuff they got on them. Okay. Bend that up a little bit. And I love using the ones that have the wire in them because it just makes it easier to manipulate and you can put things the way you want it. See? And now that we're all done, we have our wreath finished with our little pop of gold and our ornament up. I wish I could show you guys with the lights. I'm going to have to go hunting in my garage to find that little tiny screwdriver. I've looked in the house and I couldn't find it, so it must have gotten put out with my husband's stuff. It's a really nice Christmassy wreath. If you wanted to go really big, you could add some ornaments permanently on there. You could take a longer stretch of wire and secure them to the base. If you want it to be a more of a removable thing, like I'm going to do with my other one, I would take the ornaments and just put regular Christmas hooks on there and hang them up, but twist it, because they are going to be outside, hanging on your doors. They're going to be moving a lot, so they're when you're done with your Christmas hook, which is basically a little wire that hooks over like that. Once you have it on to you in time, like that, so it gives you a little bit, but it's not like so twisted on there that you're going to have a trouble getting it off when it's time to switch. But that should be secure enough to keep it from falling from just the movement of the door going back and well, we've got that. We've got the one done, and I've showed you the start of the how to start the base with my second one that I'm going to do. Now, there's a few other cute things that you can do. You can add these little owls if you didn't want to do the flowers or the poinsettias. These are really cute and they're kind of Christmassy. You could take a little bit of the tulle and make a little scarf for the owls, and then decorate up with that. If you wanted to do more of a Christmas ornament, you could take your base. Where did I put that? Wait, here it is. Okay. You could take your base that you have like this, and instead of going with the big fluffy stuff, you could take your tulle. No, I don't. Another option that you have, and I'm not going to finish it like this. This is to wrap it around this way. Help time and the energy to create something wonderful for that person, and I think it makes it that much more special. If you don't have the time to make it yourself, you can go out. There's lots of crafters who craft for the holidays to help everybody make Christmas that much more special for their families. And if you really craft it yourself, you can go out and either learn how through one of our tutorials, or go out and find. There's lots of different places like the Creative Gem Crafts Boutique. Unfortunately, my soaps are no longer there, but you can find lots of wonderful crafters there. They're located in Gardner, Illinois. And there's also going to be a craft fair at one of the Lutheran churches. I wish I had the address in front of me right now, but I don't. In New Lenox, Illinois, and you'll find my soaps will be there. They do a lot of charity. We're raising money for Jace, my cousin's son, who just has been fighting stage 4 cancer, neuroblastoma.